Recording in progress.
All right, friends. So we are live on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about how to live longer, stronger, and healthier through weightlifting, supporting our hormones, and yes, using the right tools, including peptides and targeted supplements. Got a lot of questions this week on peptides and supplements, so I thought that we would chat about it. We're going to cover some foods too that help your hormones, men and women, how to spot low hormone symptoms, what it looks like when you're losing muscle without even realizing it. I see this a lot in labs. People don't even realize that they're losing muscle, and they are. They're having muscle atrophy, and that could be the start of a lot of chronic illnesses. And we're also going to talk about why weight training becomes non-negotiable as we age. Again, if you have any questions, I'm going to reiterate this. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section. I will try to keep up with all the platforms until I get some help over here. So if you want to volunteer, that would be great. But as always, I really appreciate you tuning in on your Thursday evening with me. So we're going to talk about menopause, bone density, fracture prevention. Again, we are talking hormones, men and women, and how to retain muscle. So grab a notebook, because we're going to dive deep into what works, what doesn't, and how to put it all together for lasting results. All right, so first thing that we're going to go over is muscle loss and hormone decline. So as we age, especially after the age of 30, we naturally begin to lose muscle mass. This is called sarcopenia. For most people, it happens so slowly, they don't even notice until the balance falls off, they feel weaker carrying groceries, they get injured more easily. That is something that I'm seeing a lot of. People are coming up to me saying, I have a tear, I tore my shoulder, my knee is hurt now. Those are all signs that your muscles are starting to weaken and that you need to get your butt in the gym. My dear friend Jimmy, if you're listening tonight, you're the one that I'm talking to. Okay, so also like maybe recovery after your workouts are taking a lot longer. That's a great sign to show you that the muscle is definitely declining. The truth is, muscle is medicine. It's a key player in metabolism, blood sugar balance, hormone regulation, and injury prevention. When hormones decline, testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, growth hormone, all of these are your hormones. These are all labs that I check. When you come to me, these are part of my extensive lab work that I always do, because without these, you don't get the full picture. And it is really hard to get these when you go to your GP, because this is usually not covered with insurance unless there is something actually wrong. And to find out if there's something wrong, you got to get to the root cause of it, right? Got to get to the base, see what exactly is going on. So we need to figure out what your hormones are doing. Have you started noticing like any change in your skin composition? Have you noticed that your muscle tone, maybe you're getting a little bit of saggy skin? That is a good sign that you're losing muscle tone and strength. Fatigue and low motivation is another symptom. And especially for my women in menopause, you should be noticing more fat and less muscle, especially around the midsection. You're going to be holding more weight there as you're losing, and you're noticing body composition changes, and you're losing muscle and gaining more fat. Poor sleep and slow recovery, mood changes, and brain fog. So that brain fog just so you know, is coming from a lot of times your HDL, which is your good cholesterol. If you're on a statin, I can guarantee you got some brain fog because those statins lower the HDL. We need the HDL. We need cholesterol. Your hormones are made in the HDL. Your cognitive function comes from the HDL. So if you're taking a statin and it is reducing the LDL, which it's supposed to do, it's doing its job, but it's also tanking your HDL. That's a problem. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough good fats in, you're taking your omega-3s. These are all things that we really go over when you come to see me and I run the extensive labs. For women, menopause, it brings estrogen and progesterone drops, which dramatically affect bone density. Believe me, I have my own personal story with that. I had a full hysterectomy. I think I was 22. Full hysterectomy because it was related to my rheumatoid arthritis. I kept having flares every time I would get a period. And so I had a full hysterectomy. Well, HRT really wasn't a thing back then. It was something that was, the guys were getting the testosterone off the street. It wasn't really something you could go and find. Not until about 10 years passed by. So 10 years, I didn't really have any estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone. Lost a lot of bone density. So I bounced between osteopenia and osteoporosis for a long time. So it affects bone density, metabolism, and muscle retention. And for men, andropause, which is a gradual testosterone decline, and it starts as early as the late 30s, okay? So even if you think that you're feeling fine, I was listening to a podcast today and it said that the men's testosterone today, that the average normal readings, that the doctor says you're okay and that you don't need any testosterone replacement therapy, is about the same as it was during World War II when the men are 70. All right? And so you're having men in their 30s and 40s with testosterone that is ridiculously low, which is going to lead to a chronic illness. We need those hormones. As a type 2 diabetic on meds, what do I need to do so that I don't lose muscle? I train 3 to 4 days. Great question. I would increase the weight training. I would do 5 to 6 days a week, and I would make sure that you're getting good fats in to stabilize blood sugars before and after your workouts, and making sure that you're eating your complex carbs and nothing that would spike your blood sugars. And make sure that you are doing your cardio as well for cardiovascular for your heart. Great question there. Thank you. Okay, so for men and women, let's go over foods that support hormones. I actually did one of my papers during my master's. I did on phytoestrogen foods for women, and then I actually wrote a book on erectile dysfunction called Let's Get One Thing Straight, and that was for one of my dissertations for one of my doctorates. So, and it's all about food and how food affects our hormones and blood flow and all the good stuff. So protein, wild-caught fish, pasture-raised poultry, grass-fed meats, organic eggs, tempeh, tofu, lentils, quinoa, all those are great protein sources. Healthy fats, avocados, olives, coconut oil, flax seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, cold-pressed olive oil. Always organic on that. Again, I'm watching comments, so if you see me looking at this out, I'm just trying to keep up with you guys. Colorful vegetables, peppers, berries, carrots, beets, antioxidants for cellular health. Mineral-rich greens, spinach, kale, arugula, bok choy, containing magnesium and calcium for hormones and bones. Zinc sources. Zinc sources are really important, especially for men's hormones to stabilize. Pumpkin seeds, oysters, cashews, they really support testosterone. So make sure you're getting your pumpkin seeds in. That's a really easy way to get your zinc. B vitamins, nutritional yeast. That was something that I added into my diet when I went vegan last year. It really helped with my B vitamins. because I was excluding eggs at the time, and so that's a great way. If you are excluding eggs, maybe you have an allergy or something like that, nutritional yeast is something to add in. Legumes, leafy greens, all of these are for energy and mood balance. For women in menopause, this is what I went over, the phytoestrogens, flax seeds, fermented soy, chickpeas, lentils, all of these help with hot flashes and bone health. I love ground flaxseed over the seeds because I feel like your body absorbs them better. So get creative. There's all kinds of recipes. You can go on ChatGPT and look up recipes. You can go on Pinterest and look up recipes. Tons of recipes out there. On the topic for diabetic meds and ED, which one causes that? Oh, a lot of them, Andy. Thanks for that question. Yeah, a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of the medications do. I would highly recommend flooding your system with greens. As many greens as you can stand. 3 to 5 cups. Broccoli, all your cruciferous vegetables. All of those help with blood flow, and anything that can help with blood flow helps with ED issues. And then making sure that you're keeping your sugars in check, that will help as well. Hope that answers your questions. I want to get off of meds and go natural. So a lot of people that come to me that are on diabetic medications, maybe like metformin, I love berberine. So everybody that knows me knows I love berberine. Berberine is nature's metformin without the side effects of having stomach issues. I take berberine. I take it 3 times a day. Berberine is amazing. It does like 4 different things. It shrinks cancer cells. It reduces your LDL, controls your HDL. It is an anti-inflammatory, and it really helps to regulate the glucose. So my husband takes it for insulin resistance, and then I take it for the anti-inflammatory properties. So I would highly suggest jumping on berberine, not stopping your medication yet. Always check with your doctor on that. But it's definitely something that you could add in to help with blood sugars, and then start tapering off of it if it's something that you guys agree to. You can find berberine anywhere. Even Walmart has it. I saw it the other day. 500 milligrams is usually how it comes. And I would say start low, 1 to 2 times a day, and then you can always increase it as well. But also on my website, I have my full script dispensary, and you can go on there as well and sign up. And it's I'm able to give it to you at my wholesale cost, so it's a lot cheaper than probably what you can even buy at Walmart. And Walmart's not usually the best brand, so I would definitely look for something like maybe Integrative Therapeutics, or Now is another brand that I like, and then Pure Encapsulations are great as well. Hope that answers you guys. Thanks, Andy, for the questions. Okay, for my men over 40. Oh wait, I skipped one. So after the hot flashes for bone health and hot flashes, chickpeas, lentils, flax seeds, fermented soy. Also for calcium and magnesium, almonds, sesame seeds, tahini, and leafy greens are all great sources for calcium and magnesium. For men over 40, testosterone boosting foods, and these are in my book as well. Tuna, salmon, pomegranate, ginger, dark leafy greens, again, your cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. They all help regulate estrogen, metabolism. Because again, guys, if you are on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and you're taking testosterone, I hope that you are taking an estrogen blocker, because we do not want the testosterone converting over, or else you will be in the corner in a fetal position crying. That's what I always tell my guys. So I do not want you emotional. We want to keep the estrogen levels down, but healthy. I do like you having a little bit of estrogen, but something like DEM is it's a great supplement to take for that. And again, check with your doctor and see what fits best with your regimen. And then let's see, how to know if you're muscle wasting. Okay, so here's some signs. Clothes are fitting looser in the arms and legs, but tighter at the waist. That's a great sign. Feeling weaker during familiar tasks. such as climbing stairs or carrying groceries, poor balance or increased falls, unexplained fatigue, thinner skin, and more pronounced bones in shoulders or collarbone. DEXA scan, which is something that I haven't done in the past. I know my doctor's going to get mad at me for that when I say that. If you're listening, Dr. Myers, I'm sorry. I have not done my DEXA scan in a while. But I think I'm like maybe every 2 years. It's probably been third year right now. So, but I highly recommend getting a DEXA scan done for the women, especially. Maybe every 2 years would be great, especially if you are menopausal, just to make sure that you're not losing any bone density. Because once you start losing bone density, it's really hard to gain it back. Not saying that you cannot, because I have and I do. But weight training is something great for that, because the more that you do weight-bearing exercises, the more bone density you're going to have. If you're not actively stimulating your muscles with resistance training, you're losing them, period. Okay? The importance of lifting weights as we age. Preserves lean muscle mass, keeps metabolism higher, so we keep our weight down, improves insulin sensitivity, lowers the risk of diabetes, keeps that weight off the midsection, stimulates bone density, lowers the risk of fractures and osteoporosis. Because if you take a fall, you do not want to break a hip or break an ankle. You're going to have issues with that moving forward, especially as we age. I broke my foot in 2016, and that was one of the things when I had my big flare this year. I don't know what was worse, if it was my ankle or my knee, and they were opposite legs. So I felt like I was just this 85-year-old woman hobbling up and down the stairs. So just really take care of your body and make sure that your bones are nice and strong. Weight training improves balance and coordination. It lowers your fall risk, enhances mood and brain health through endorphins. Don't you just feel better after you work out? I know I do. It's my therapy. Like, literally is my therapy. I love going to the gym. Keeps independence into later years. Don't we all want that? We don't want to have to depend on anyone because we didn't take care of our bodies. This is a promise I made to myself, and I really, especially after seeing my friend sick in the hospital and losing so many people to sickness, is I made a promise to myself that I'm not going to be a burden. I'm going to do everything in my power. I might end up being a burden. Maybe I'm a burden right now. Jason would probably disagree. Maybe. But to have to take care of me in my later years, I promise you, I'm going to do everything in my power to take care of my body, to make sure that I will be the least amount of a burden that I can be in the later years, so I don't have to be dependent on anyone. Don't you want to keep that promise to your loved ones? You're worth it. You're an investment. I mean, take care of that body. You're worth it. 2 to 3 sessions a week. That's all you got to commit to. 2 to 3 sessions a week of progressive resistance training. It reverses decades of muscle loss. All right, so let's go over how peptides and supplements support this journey. Everybody knows, hi Pamela Bell. Everybody knows that I've been loving the peptides. So I wanted to go over, because I've had so many questions again this week. So let's just go over what helps with keeping muscle and keeps your tissues healthy. BPC 157 is one of my favorites. Supports tissue healing, gut repair, and recovery. That's what I got on when I had my knee injury and my flare. CJC 1295 and ipamorelin, which I am on right now as well, stimulates growth hormone release, and it helps recovery and muscle gain. I can tell you it's made a huge difference in my workouts. Tesamorelin targets visceral fat, supports lean mass. IGF-1 LR3, it improves muscle protein synthesis. I just ordered this one. Actually, it just came in the mail. It's right here. Came in the mail today. Pretty excited about it. I am not going to take that until 4 weeks out from my High Rocks competition, because it really does help support that muscle protein synthesis. So TB 500, I'm taking it now. I took it during my flare. I'm on maintenance dose now. Supports tissue regeneration, also systemic inflammation overall. Supplements. And creatine is something that I just jumped back on recently when I got really back into heavy weightlifting. I'm doing the liposomal creatine. Some people just do the creatine monohydrate, and that's fine. Increases strength, supports brain health. There's even new studies. I think the recommended dose has been 5 grams forever of creatine, but now they're saying upwards of 10 because all the studies are coming out with Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, all these things about cognitive function, and the higher the dose, the better. So I'm super excited about this science. But if you are in the gym and you're weightlifting, I would definitely, and especially women, don't be afraid of it. I can tell you, I'm taking the liposomal, and I'm not having any water weight. I'm not bloating. So if you do feel that way with the creatine monohydrate, I would swap it over. But it's definitely a great supplement. And creatine is a peptide as well, if you didn't know that. There's also collagen peptides. I take that as well. It's joint and connective tissue support. I just put it in my water. It's great. I think it maybe has like 20 calories per scoop and a little bit of added protein. Magnesium glycinate, muscle relaxation and recovery. I'll also take magnesium citrate, keeps my bowels nice and steady. Everybody wants that. We want a nice cleaned out colon every day. Vitamin D3 and K2. Always take your vitamin D3. I pretty much have everybody on 5,000. I would say 99% of my patients come to me with a low vitamin D. You want to take K2 with it for absorption. So bone health, hormone balance. Omega-3s, anti-inflammatory, and they support recovery. Ashwagandha is stress modulator, testosterone support in men as well. Hi, Barrett. Says he's been on creatine for 30 plus years. Yes, it's a game changer. My husband actually likes the creatine monohydrate because he says that the little bit of water weight that he holds cushions his joints. That's what he says. I'm not sure about that, but for whatever it's worth, that's what Jason says. Calcium and boron, bone density support. All right, so let's tie it all together. So commit to training 3 times per week with a progressive overload. Something that I started doing about 3.5 weeks ago is I started actually working with I know you guys are going to be like, what, I thought you were a personal trainer. Yes, that is my background. But when I go into the gym, I don't really want to think about my workouts. And a good friend of mine turned me on to this trainer out of Brazil. He lives in Brazil, sends me my workouts. It's awesome. And they're laid out for me. But something that I had not been doing was supersetting. Who's supersets? You guys superset? Let me know if you're supersetting. Because it was something that I just kind of, if I'm working with a client, I would have them supersetting. But when I would go in, I would just kind of like aimlessly walk around the gym, and I would do something for back and do upper body one day, and I just was all over the board. So got super focused and started supersetting, and I stay sore. And so I'm constantly getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I mean, every time I walk in the gym and I repeat the workout, I'm so impressed with how much I'm able to progress that overload. So definitely you want to keep adding to it. Try supersetting. Eat a protein target of 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. Include healthy fats for hormone production. Supplement where needed based on lab testing. Again, don't guess, test. Barrett, I've been telling you that. We gotta look at labs. You gotta look at labs. Just because Bob Jones at the gym on the treadmill says that this supplement is great, and you come home and you think that you need to jump on that supplement, there is no reason to be taxing your liver and kidneys if you don't need that supplement. So find out. Work with a practitioner. It doesn't have to be me. I mean, I'd love for it to be me. But work with a practitioner that knows blood chemistry analysis, and it can look at your labs and look to see if there's deficiencies or dysfunctions or imbalances before you jump on a bunch of supplements, because supplements can be very dangerous. They can tax your kidneys and they can tax your liver. And I can see stone cold alcoholics in my office and their liver enzymes look fine. I can see somebody that's been working out for 30 plus years in the gym taking a ton of supplements and they have fatty liver. Okay? So be very careful. Use recovery tools, sleep, stress management, proper hydration. Also consider research peptides to support repair and recovery under professional guidance. So I'm going to share my exact framework for staying strong and healthy at any age. If you haven't already, grab the 2 ebooks so you can follow along. I put them in the show notes, the links to my website. If you go to my website, lifewellnessforever.com, you'll be able to see the store, and on there I have a ton of ebooks, and they're super cheap. So, and remember, muscle is medicine, but only if you use it. So I think we're at like 26 minutes. I'm trying to keep these under 30. So I might not get through all these questions, but I did get a ton of questions this week. So I was going to try to answer a few. How many days a week should I lift for longevity? I would say at least 3 days a week lifting weights. Also get your cardio in, get your steps in. Then I keep seeing this, the new 7,000 steps per day is kind of the new range. They're not saying 10,000 anymore. 7,000 is the beneficial mark. So I lift probably 6 to 7 days a week. I just love it. It's my therapy. But again, it's by choice. And, I separate things well enough and get enough rest and support my body where I don't feel like I'm overtraining. So again, there's no one size fits all. You just got to see what works for you. What's the best time of day to work out for hormone balance? I would say in the mornings, especially for cortisol balance. But again, just even if you can't get it in until the evenings, just get it in. All right. Can women over 50 still gain muscle? Well, I am very close to 50. I mean, a couple years. I turned 48 this year. But I know a lot of women over 50 that are still gaining muscle and that have no issue. I am probably in some of the best shape of my life right now, stronger than I think I've ever been, even when I competed in bodybuilding, which is crazy. But yes, you can. You can still build muscle. Support your body right, and you can absolutely do anything that you put your mind to. How can men boost testosterone naturally without medication? Lifting weights is one. Also diet. Remember adding things like pumpkin seeds in, okay? That's anything that will give you a supply of zinc, boost that testosterone. Are there specific exercises that improve bone density? Any weight-bearing exercises improves bone density. How do you know if you're eating enough protein? Well, check your labs for one. If you notice muscle wasting, you're not getting enough protein in. I always like to check things like your albumin levels as well, because that is a healing protein. So if you were to have surgery or something coming up, I would make sure that you check your albumin levels to make sure that your protein's high enough so you're going to heal. Because if your albumin's not high enough, you're not going to heal very well. What's the role of growth hormone in muscle gain and recovery? Well, anytime that we're spiking growth hormones, our muscle gains are going to be there. Like, we're going to be able to retain that muscle. We're going to be able to build. We're going to be able to progressively load, and your recovery is going to be much shorter, much easier. Pretty much, you're going to go to bed and you wake up in the morning. This is the way I have it, that I've been since I've been on the ipamorelin and the CJC. I go to bed at night exhausted, and I wake up completely refreshed, ready to go in the morning. Can peptides really help with muscle loss as we age? Yes, just like I was talking about. Some of the ones that people are using, sermorelin, tesamorelin, CJC, ipamorelin, those are all great ones to help produce growth hormone and to help your own body produce growth hormone and to support your body with joint healing as well and to retain muscle. Let's see, should women in menopause take creatine? I am menopausal. Hi, Jane. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, I'm menopausal. Been menopausal since I was 22 years old. And yes, I'm taking creatine. It is something great to add in. Do your homework. Always do your homework before adding anything. Again, I mean, I'm always researching from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed. But I highly recommend you do your homework as well. Don't take my word for it. And always check with your physician. What labs should I test before starting a new fitness program? I would definitely get an extensive set of labs ran that include your hormones because you want to see where you have imbalances. You want to see, you know, what I do is my ranges are much more narrow where you go to the doctor and you go to LabCorp and they're conventional labs and the ranges are so wide they're comparing you to everyone else that's sick that is your age, and that's why the nurse calls you and they say, hey Jane, everything looks fine, we'll see you again in a year, and you're symptomatic, you're holding weight in your midsection, you got all these issues going on, you got some joint pain. That's because they do not look at the narrow ranges and they're not studying patterns. So I'm able to study patterns, I'm able to see where you have imbalances, dysfunctions, and my goal is to get the terrain healthy. So we have to see what's going on and support your body and get that terrain nice and healthy before you have an issue that becomes a full-blown disease. That is my goal in life, is to get you healthy. And then last question, how can I stay consistent with weight training when life gets so busy? You are worth it. Always remember that. Make yourself a priority. I am being completely selfish right now with my workouts. That's what I told my husband. I'm being selfish right now. Not really. I'm just putting myself first. I deserve it. And I think for so long with life, everything gets off balance. And I always tend to put everything else ahead of my workouts. And I know you guys can relate. I'll sit here at the computer and I'm going to be like, okay, just 30 more minutes and I'm going to get to the gym and I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to return one more email. And then that 30 minutes turns into an hour or 2 hours. And then by the time that you know it, the day is gone, you're exhausted, and you don't feel like working out, right? Who can relate with me? It happened to me for so many years. So I get it. But make yourself a priority, put it in your calendar just like a meeting, just like any other meeting that you have, and absolutely do not miss it. And I would say if life gets busy, get it done in the morning. Wake up 30 minutes ahead of time, go to bed 30 minutes earlier than you normally would, and get moving. Just make the commitment. Every choice you make is a year more that you can add on to your life. Just remember that. Muscle is medicine, but only if you use it. You guys can always reach me, Cindy at drcindyross.com. Hey, Chloe, what's up? And you can call me, 251-635-7477. Visit my website, lifewellnessforever.com. And again, I always appreciate you guys tuning in, taking time on your Thursday evening to listen to me babble. I love you all, and I will see you guys next week, and I'm here for any questions you may have, or if you have any topics that you want to talk about, I now have a page on my website under Contact Me. You can submit a web submission in and give me some ideas. Okay. You guys have a great night. Bye-bye.